et bienvenue à la language fluent. Je m'appelle Muskan, aka The Smiley, and today, guys, I'm back with yet another exciting video, that is the speaking exam of the TEF. Today, we'll be discussing all the questions and all the confidence that you can gain and practice with me at Language Fluent so that you can ace your speaking exam. Let's get started. Since speaking can be a little hard and overwhelming for every one of us, right? So I have got a few tips and tricks in the last video if you can go and refer to it. And in this video, we'll be discussing how to implement all those tips and tricks plus a few TEF exam structure real questions that we'll be doing today and how to frame questions. What are the different kind of questions that you can pose? Okay, so let's get started with our very first section, that is section A. Here we have the very first example. Vous avez lu cette petite annonce pour des meubles et vous êtes intéressé. Vous téléphonez pour avoir plus d'informations. Posez une dizaine de questions. Votre examinateur, examinatrice joue le rôle de votre interlocuteur. So, when you'll be observing this document, you'll get to know what all needs to be done. They have given you one introductory topic, that is that you just read it and you are interested in buying it. Okay. Now, you have to call the person to ask for information and you're supposed to ask more than 10 questions. Now, at that time when you're giving your TEF exam, how could this be even possible to remember all of those questions? So that's why we'll be discussing them as of now so that you can retain at least 10 of them. I have a lot of them, don't worry. Let's proceed. So here is the question. I'm giving you all 1 minute to observe it. Let's see the question. Meubles à vendre, occasion à saisir, cause départ à l'étranger meubles à prix très intéressant. Téléphone 8 ou le téléphone portable. Okay, le numéro de téléphone. So they have given you the numéro de téléphone on which you're supposed to call and you're supposed to buy the furniture. Since the people who own it are maybe moving to somewhere or shifting to somewhere, so you're interested in it and you'll call the person to buy it. So let's get started and see how would you actually start the conversation. So I'll be the one who is here playing your role. Okay, let's begin. So for starting the conversation, you'll be doing a very first thing, that is, since you're calling, you'll say, Hello, hello, oi, got it? And you can also introduce yourself. Hello, bonjour, je m'appelle Muskan. D'accord? This is how you can start the conversation with your normal introduction. And then you can frame the plot. How could you do that? This can be followed by one of the following phrases. That is, je suis très intéressé par votre annonce. Je viens de tomber sur votre annonce et je serai très intéressé par votre appartement car je travaille juste à côté. Je cherche très activement un logement dans votre résidence et je suis très intéressé par votre studio. Since here we are talking about the studio apartment and the apartment that you want to get along with the furniture. So that means you're calling the person and asking him about his home. And here basically I've plotted it like, yeah, hi, hello, I'm very interested to buy this. Why? Because I just work against it or I work just near it. So it will be very close to my home or something like that. Now, also you can put things like, j'ai vu votre annonce pour une chambre maison, un appartement à louer et elle m'intéresse beaucoup. I saw your announcement, I saw that petite annonce and I am very interested in it. I want to buy it, I want to get it, I want to rent it. Je suis à la recherche d'un appartement à louer and I was in a long search. I was trying to research an apartment that I can rent. So because it's matching both of your requirement, that's why you're contacting that person. So you have stated the adjective, the motive that why you're contacting the particular person. You can also say where you saw this advertisement. You can refer that you saw it on a website, you saw it on Magic Bricks or any website.com. You can go to that website and check for it and simply refer to that, like I saw it in this magazine, I saw it in the newspaper, I saw it on the site internet. J'ai lu annonce dans le journal. I saw it in the newspaper. J'ai lu votre annonce sur internet. I saw it on a website. Got it? Now, since you guys are supposed to make more than 10 questions, I have almost 40 questions here to help you along so that you can at least learn the 10 of them. Okay, so let's start with the very first variation, that is 12 general questions about the property. So here's the very first. Quelle est sa superficie? Quelle est sa superficie? Like we say 920 by 920. So what is the superficie, meter square, of that particular apartment? À quelle date débute la location? At what date was the location or was the building made? À partir de quand il est disponible? At what time would it be available? Suppose I want to shift on 2nd. So at what time you can empty it and what time I can shift there? Quelle est la durée de la location? Till what time I can stay there? I can rent that property. Maybe I can stay there for 6 months, 7 months. So you are supposed to ask that particular question. Quelles sont les pièces de fournir? What stuff you will be getting along with it? Quelles sont les garanties demandées pour la location? And what is the guarantee that you need to give us that apartment for renting? Got it? You can recapitulate them in the next 1 minute. Or you can also take a screenshot. Okay, now let's see 10 general questions about the property. Est-ce qu'il est lumineux? Is it properly lit? Is it properly having sunlight in it? Où le bien est-il situé? Where is it situated? At what place? In which square is it situated? What is the particular address? Le contrat de bail. What is the contrat? Quelles sont les garanties exigées par le propriétaire? Est-ce que ce serait possible de visiter? Can you go and visit it? Or you can actually go and see the property, how it actually looks, rather than just seeing the pictures. Il y a combien de pièces? How many rooms are there? 1, 2, 3. Maybe if you're looking for the studio apartment, it can be 1. If you're looking for 2 BHK, it can be 2 pièces, 3 pièces, 4 pièces, depending upon your needs. And the article or the picture that is given to you or the announcement that you can see. Okay, so if you guys want, you can take a screenshot of it again. Alright guys, now let's see 10 questions about the cost and expense associated with the apartment. Now, this counts to be a very important question. Why? Because you need to give the maintenance costs, the water bills, the gas bills, electricity bills. So you want to inquire that how many are they? Are there any parking charges? What kind of expenses would you be doing once you start living in the rented property? So, combien coûte la location? How much is the rent? Et louer et combien? It's the same question in an inverted form. Quel est le montant des charges et que comprennent? Now, what are the different types of charges that you will be giving? L'eau et le chauffage. Sont-ils compris dans le loyer? So, water and the electricity charges, are they actually a part of the rent that you are giving or they are apart from it? Dans ce prix, le compris le chauffage et électricité. So, it's the same question framed in a different sense. Okay? So, you can simply ask that whether do I need to give that separately or is it a part of it? Suppose the rent goes out to be 500 euros. So, in those 500 euros, are you giving your water and chauffage bills along with it or not? Maybe there can be parking charges, maybe they can have the electricity bills, or maybe they can have water bills as well. You can take a screenshot if you want to, guys. Now, moving further, you might be very interested to know at what floor or at which floor is your apartment at, or you might have some questions or queries related to that. So here I have 4 questions regarding it. So the very first question says, à quel étage se situe cet appartement? At which stage, at which level is the apartment at? Il y a un ascenseur? Is there a lift? Il y a un digicode? Interphone, gardien. Do you have an intercom system or no? Il y a escalier ou ascenseur? Are there stairs or a lift? So you can ask these questions according to the ones that you feel like will match your needs. Further, we also have 6 questions on the comfort of the residence. Let's see them. La location comprend-elle une cave ou un parking? So, does the property has any kind of garage or parking, or is it paid or not? Y a-t-il une ligne téléphonique? Is there a telephonic line in it? Ai-je le droit de refaire la déco des pièces? Do I have the right to actually change the, kind of like I can move the sofa from this room to that room, I can introduce my own stuff into that building or into that apartment or not? Do I have the, rights to change everything, to change the interiors of that apartment or not? Quel est le type de chauffage? Y a-t-il compris dans les charges? Les fenêtres sont-elles double rentrage? Are the windows there? What kind of curtains are on it? Est-ce qu'il y a des places stationnement? Is there any parking spaces? Or, if there's no parking in the building itself, where can you go and park your vehicle at? Okay. Now, let's see a few questions about le quartier. How is your neighborhood? I think it's a very important point when you will be considering to live alone or live along with someone and you're renting that place. So it's very important to know who all live there. Okay, so we'll be asking a few questions about the neighborhood. Est-ce que se trouve the supermarché auprès? Can I find the supermarkets anywhere near? Est-ce qu'il y a du parc auprès de cet automobile? Is there any park where if I don't have any vehicle to transport to, I can go by my foot? Y a-t-il des transports en commun? Are there any public transports available? Metro or the bus is available or not? Est-ce qu'il y a des arrêts de bus à proximité? Just nearby the apartment, is there any bus stand, bus stop or not, so that you can catch the public transport? Est-ce qu'il y a des commerces à proximité? Is there a pharmacy? Is there a supermarket, florist, boulangerie? What kind of commerces are available, nearby available? Est-ce qu'il y a des écoles à proximité? Suppose you're shifting along with your kid, or if you are looking forward to be an independent individual who's trying to live or going to the school. So you'll be asking, is there any school in the proximity? Can I go and find a school nearby on a walking distance? You can take a screenshot of the questions if you guys want so that we can proceed. So, more or less the idea is clear to you that what questions that you need to pick and what are the different categories that you can pick questions out of. It's not necessary that you're always limited to questions like how much is the price, for how much time can I rent it, are there any public commodities around. It's not necessary to stick to the very general questions. You can have a lot of variations in the questions as well. So now, since you have taken the screenshots of section A, you can take your time off and frame a complete conversations and put it down in the chat box so that I can check it for you. Plus, if you guys are done with it, if you are like, okay, Ms. Khan, we have understood the section A, let's proceed to section B. So I hope you might have got the crux of section A. Now without wasting any time, let's see the section B. And please remember here in section B, as we have discussed in the previous video, that you are supposed to speak for at least 12 minutes. 10 to 12 minutes, and that is a lot. So basically your mind should be prepared to ask more questions, that too in an informal conversation. So let's get started to it. Here's the question, and the question says cubic circuit. Okay, I'll just come back to the instructions first. Vous avez lu cette publicité pour un circuit touristique au Québec. Vous en parlez à une amie qui cherche une idée pour ses vacances. Présentez-lui ce document. Essayez de la convaincre de la faire ce voyage avec vous. Here's the draft. You can go and see it for 1 minute and then we'll directly get into the ideas. So, it says Tour du Québec, then it states the dates, hébergement en hôtel, circuit en autocar climatisé, multiples activités, visites, exécutions, guide francophone, transport aérien non inclus. À ce prix-là, on n'hésite pas. So it's given here and there's a website also stated here. Now what you guys are supposed to do is prepare a response for it. Okay, so basically here you have to present the document as if the person doesn't knows it, hasn't ever seen it. Okay, and you have to, convince him to come along with you so that you both can participate in it together. So let's see the response to it. Now let's see the response that you can give in reply to it. I'll just give you the starting and I'll frame the plot for you guys. Okay, salut mon ami. J'ai une bonne nouvelle pour toi aujourd'hui. J'ai vu une annonce publicité dans le journal et de que je l'ai eu, je pense à toi. So here you're just simply telling him that when I read it, I was thinking about you. That you're so dear and near to my heart that I automatically started thinking about you. Il s'agit de. Now comes the main idea, that is you're supposed to present the document. Like whatever's presented, whatever's written in the publicity and the announce, you're supposed to present it. You're supposed to say it aloud. You're supposed to tell him and explain the theme, that what will happen in that trip or what is it about. Qu'en penses-tu? Then, don't say all the arguments in one line, but try to grasp and try to listen. Ask for the opinion. What does the invigilator wants or your friends wants? Only then you will try to convince him. Okay, most of the times the situation is going to be this only, that he's going to disagree or she's going to disagree to the opinion. But here you're supposed to convince them. That's why you're supposed to throw the arguments one by one so that you can convince them slowly and steadily. Wait that the examiner answer back and then say a second argument and then the answer. So that's what the point explains, right? Suppose you have 5 arguments, so do not tell those 5 arguments together out of your excitedness. Plus be careful while throwing up your arguments. Tell first argument, wait for the response. Second argument, wait for the response. Third, wait for the response. Fourth, wait. Fifth and finally, if you are able to convince it, well and good. Otherwise, you need more arguments to that. Also, as for arguments, you have to use linking words as to increase your vocabulary, as to show that you actually have a certain level in the language. You are actually able to convince him. You have to use a few connectors. These are also known as linking words, like certes, mais, cependant, néanmoins, puis, après, avant. The list continues. There are more than 100 connectors. So you can pick any 10 that you like and use them accordingly to your accordance. In addition, if you have several ideas, you can structure your answer with. Now I know this is a very rare condition that you'll have multiple ideas or several ideas along with you, but if you have main 4 ideas, it is well to go that you can present them one by one. Otherwise, I'll give you a pattern, that is d'une part, d'autre part, non seulement, mais aussi, d'abord, ensuite, enfin. So here you're just presenting the situation like d'abord, this is my first part, ensuite, this is my next part, enfin, finally, globally, this is what I mean in the conclusion, that you should come along with me. I hope you guys understood how the pattern should go. The starting and the ending should be actually so good that the examiner cannot deny to the fact that he's gonna come along with you. Okay, now let's see one more situation, that when you're under stress, you don't have any ideas to present to, or you are unable to relate to the situation well. How would you do? Or how can you manage? Or how can you manage a few things? Now let's see that situation where you're unable to give answers, plot accordingly, or you're unable to imagine the situation happening with you. So what you can do, how can you handle the stress at that time? Practice out loud in front of the mirror and manage your time accordingly. Now, why did I say practice out loud, practice in front of the mirror? So that you can gain confidence. When you're talking to yourself, when you're looking to yourself. I think that's what I'm doing right. Okay, let me come back here. So when I talk to myself or when I'm talking to you guys, I'm actually generating a confidence in myself. That is, I can speak to myself, then I can speak to others. If I'm confident with myself, I can be confident with others. Practice loudly and in front of audience. Now, after the mirror part, when you have this much of confidence, try to practice everything along with your family. Even if they are not French native speakers, you can present your ideas in front of them. Why? Because when they are sitting in front of you, it doesn't matter whether you're speaking it correctly or not. What matters is the level of language that you think in yourself is working, and the confidence and the stress levels are outbursting. I hope you got the point. And repetition is the key. Pick a theme, try to repeat it over and over again. Like in the morning, when I pick it, I have a few different ideas, I'll note them down. In the evening, when I practice it, I'll note down the different ideas. In the night, when I have some different ideas, I'll note them down. And when I compile them all, I realize that my psyche works in three different ways altogether. So that means I have three different ideas throughout the day. So that is how, when you are repeating things over and over, when you are repeating a theme, when you are repeating situations in your mind over and over again, you overthink, or I'll say you think about them. And when you think about them, you have a few ideas. So I think overthinking here is the key to success, or you should actually overthink onto the good things. Alright. Now, let's see a few non-verbal communication tips that are actually not something to communicate, but how can you increase your confidence, lower your stress, and be well presented in front of the examiner. So let's see. The first one is be positive. I think a positive mindset is most important under these stressful situations. Why? Because if you have a positive outlook, a positive mindset, you'll present it better. Okay, rather than thinking negative thoughts, if I'm thinking something would go wrong, then definitely something would go wrong. So it's always better to think, I know everything, I can do it, TEF is easy, and I'm the master of it. You can simply do it, right? Okay, second is use your voice, speak loudly and clearly. Do not do this. It doesn't matter. Whatever ideas you have, you're there to present them. Even if you think they are silly enough, they are not like enough, you can always present them, because at that time your mind won't work in the most desired situation that you're thinking it to be. Next, we have put yourself in the shoes of the examiner. Now, while thinking of the silly ideas, think of it this way, that you are the examiner. If someone presents you those ideas, would you be happy with them? Would you be satisfied with them? Or would you be actually convinced to do that thing or not? So this is how your psyche would go along and would help you a long way. Raise your voice. Please don't be scared. There's nothing to worry about here. It's just an exam. So raise your voice. Try to use your voice. Whatever's happening there, be present in the situation. Don't think negative at all. And do not suppress the ideas in your mind, but present them loud aloud. You can do it, guys. Do not worry at all. Okay. Further, we have a few tips to improve yourself. These are pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. I hope you guys know these three things in English as well, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper in it. Pronunciation. How can pronunciation help? It is the first impression. The way you say bonjour would present yourself. You'd present yourself in front of the examiner that yes, this guy or girl knows this language well enough or not. So pronunciation matters a lot, but never try to fake the accent. If you're going to do that, I think it's going to come a little down, or it's going to cost you something. Try to be as much natural as you can. Rhythm. The rhythm of the conversation matters. Since it's an informal conversation, do not try to fake anything out of it. When you're talking to a friend, try to enact in the same way. Because here, you're actually convincing your friend, not an enemy. Okay? Intonation. The intonation in your voice, whenever you feel like, yeah, this is a question, raise your voice. Here, you should be affirmative, slow it down. When you feel like that you're getting excited, show it in your voice. You can do it. You can express it in your emotions and in your voice as well. Fluidity. The second most important point is the fluidity. I think fluidity is much same as that of the rhythm. Why? Because the conversation that you're going should be fluid. Why fluid? Because if sometimes you get stuck in that way, you know that naturally your human psyche would be doing this if you were in front of the friend. So try to make it fluid. Try to go with the flow. Okay. Now let's discuss a few common mistakes that everyone can make during the speaking exam. The very first thing is using grass a. Now, please remember, grâce is always used under the positive consequences. But sometimes we try to sarcasm it out. We try to be sarcastic out of it. Do not do it. Okay? And à cause de. Try to use à cause de whenever you are referring to something that is totally negative. Okay? Second is, the adverb is placed after the verb at the simple time and before participating if it is a compound tense. For example, I'll take j'ai beaucoup mangé. Nous avons aussi visité le Louvre. And the third point here says pay attention to pronunciation. Add a period. Oh, after considering the point of the pronunciation, be also careful about the punctuation. That is, put a full stop wherever it is required so that the examiner can get to know that yes, finally the argument is finished. Like I am saying, nous avons mangé beaucoup. That means the sentence has ended. The fluidity should go in this way. The rhythm should be in this way that the examiner get to know is that the sentence is finished. Alright. A few more of them are like attention. Beaucoup de, pas de, plus de, moins de, peu de. These D and the apostrophe. In the following words, the E is deleted. Easier. If the next word starts with a vowel and aspirated que, la, le, je, me, te, se, ne, di, plus ils, elles, ce, que, verbe, être. Do not use tu but en for impersonal form. Dans cette ville, on peut voir. Dans cette villa, on peut manger. Use on for considering yourselves rather than using nous or tu. Consider a situation to be us in a very impersonal way. Pay attention to the prepositions before the names of the countries and cities. En France, en Japon, aux États-Unis, à Paris. Do not put a in front of the pays. Okay. Now, remember to use the correct auxiliary. For example, with pronominal verbs, you always use verb être while conjugating them in passé composé. So be careful, revise your tenses and grammar thoroughly as well. Ne jamais, ne rien, ne personne, no need to add no to these negative structure sentences. These are already negative. So there's no need to add another no to them. Maintenant, allez, roquez cet examen. So that is it for the video, you guys. If you are interested to see all the videos from the TEF course playlist, you can go to the description below. Or if you are interested in the future videos, you can subscribe to the Language Fluence channel. That is it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, au revoir, à très bientôt. Bisous, bisous. Au revoir.